Vampire the Masquerade is a system I think doesn't require too much of an introduction. It's something that I believe at least everybody has heard of once before. It's pretty popular, especially in more nerdy circles. Both with the game, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, which you should go play by the way. This game is actually fantastic. Can't say the same about the sequel from the trailers I've seen. And the fact that VtM had a text-to-speech device, the creator, Alpha Busa, went on to do Hunter the Parenting, which is set actually in the grander world of this, the world of darkness, where Vampire the Masquerade is set. A grim dark universe where all the supernatural is real, things that go bump in the night are there, and they're waiting around that corner for you to lower your guard. Lots of stuff exists in the world of darkness. Other than just vampires, we have werewolves who are fighting a war that is completely unknown to literally everybody. Mages who can shape reality to their will and just do whatever they want, fighting against a threat that is kind of already won and has shaped the world we live in today. Wraiths that roam the underworld and military legions doing their best to avoid oblivion. Whatever the fuck the Fae are, whatever they're doing up there. And the most based of all of them, hearing about all of these supernatural creatures and deciding to kill them as a hunter, but in a cool way, not a sellout way, by being freelance and not joining a corporation, which is a legitimate thing with Hunter the Reckoning. That's very important. Also, this is important to say. I am in no way replacing 40k content. This is just gonna be little extra things I toss in for flavor and just for fun. I like the World of Darkness too much. And I feel like a lot of people in the 40k community also would like World of Darkness. It's an addition, it's not a replacement. I'm still gonna largely do 40k, that's my baby. That's the one I know the most about. But today it's all about vampires, which they're, vampires, you know. The sun will kill you, you need to drink blood to live, and you got some spooky dark powers. The fun with Vampire the Masquerade is, if you can think of a vampire type, there is a method to create that stereotype. We have everything here. Now, important thing for terminology, in this world, vampires are also, they are called vampires, it's interchangeable. They prefer the term kindred, or, depending on who you're talking to, Cainite, which is important, and I do mean that Cain, as in biblical Cain, who is the first vampire. Now, there are multiple sources, and obviously this is so fucking long ago that no one really knows the answer, where after killing his brother Abel, God cursed Cain to walk the earth forever, just a fugitive to the land. Any ground he tilled would not bear anything, which, if you open up your Bible, if you have that, go to Genesis, you could read this. It kind of sounds like vampirism a little bit, if you think about it. But if you trust the in-universe Bible, the Book of Nod, it details this a little more, if they're correct, which is after he killed Abel and God told him off, he went over, met the first woman, Lilith, and they got together. He did a funny little dark ritual, drank her blood, and was then approached by three angels, Michael, Raphael, and Uriel, who all gave him the option. Do you want to repent for killing your brother? He, for whatever reason, said no. And then they cursed him. Of these curses, Michael cursed him, that cool flaming sword he has. Vampires are gonna extra die by it. Raphael cursed him by saying, the sun will have the same effect as Michael's sword. And Uriel cursed him by forcing him to forever live in the dark. Food will turn to ash on his tongue. He needs to drink blood to survive. His body is frozen at the moment he turns into a vampire and dies. And anything he builds will fall. Vampires can't do anything of substance like humans can. Which, I gotta say, what an unfair fucking workload Heaven has. Like, damn, in this heavenly group project, Uriel did everything. Instead of just, no more sword, no more sun. Come on, be fair, guys. But now, as the first vampire, he went out and he founded the first city of Enoch, where he would expand his empire as the Dark King. He would make some more vampires, these being the second generation vampires, those directly spawned from Cain himself, his childer, which is the other in-universe term for, what it is when a vampire makes another vampire. The first one is the sire, the one they make is a childer. If I'm pronouncing that right, I don't fucking know. And then those ones went on to make the Antediluvians, which is third generation, a name that literally translates to before the flood. Because, spoilers, God sent the flood to kill the vampires. That was the real reason. Enoch got flooded and destroyed and is now in the afterlife, like in the Umbra. It's down there somewhere. To where Cain survived because he went into hiding, the second generation vampires did not survive. Not from the flood, but from all the antediluvians pulling a peak vampire move and killed all of them. To where Cain, pretty fucking pissed and very powerful, cursed all of them, where their bloodlines would be cursed in some way, usually reflecting on the person it was, each one getting a fun ironic twist, which will come later when I get into the clans near the end of this video. Now, as you can tell, the generational thing, that's very important, because the lower your generation number, the stronger you are. Because Cain is goofy fucking strong. I cannot put this in relation. Even worse, the ones we actually have some relative level of like seeing what they're capable of, the antediluvians are terrifying. They are incomprehensibly strong. So as it goes down, they get weaker and weaker and weaker. So most likely you are going to be playing around a like 12th generation vampire, give or take a few, which is pretty solid. You're a vampire, you know, you need to drink blood. You can rip a dude in half just really easily. You could throw a car, you're a vampire. Then it gets a little worse if you're farther down, if you're what's known as a thin blood, where you're a 15th or 16th generation vampire, where you're basically like a person, but if you worked out a lot, like you're an Olympic level athlete, you're still tough, you can live pretty long, but also like you can kind of go out in sunlight. You can feed on people, you do need to, but also like you can access some of the powers known as disciplines, by the way, which these disciplines, there's a good few number of them. This is all your vampire powers. You know, like your celerity to go real fast, obfuscate to disappear, dominate to mentally command people, it's all that. If you can think of an ability in fiction a vampire's had, it is somewhere in these disciplines, which again, each clan has a different access to, which again, I'll get to later. And then as well, an important caveat here, another thing you as a vampire will have to deal with is the beast. Inside of every vampire is almost like this unconscious predator instinct inside of you. Maybe even like a little demonic in a way. It constantly is there in the back of your mind. It is a constant presence in your unlife as a kindred. It is always there whenever you're drinking blood to go a little more. Drink a little more blood. What does it matter if this guy's drained and completely dead? You're a vampire. Because a big thing in the actual game that comes out in just how it is managing your humanity. Because as your humanity falls, the worse of a person you are, and to the point where you become more monstrous. The farther you go down the humanity tracker, it legitimately changes your character to be more monstrous, to treat humans worse. And the higher up you go, you can actually, like if you get to max humanity 10, you could pass as a human a good chunk of the time. Dealing with that balance is very important in your life. And the beast comes up individually, again, for every clan. I'll get to it later. But for every clan, they're all allied with someone, because there are three important factions I want to talk about here. The first one is one that really comes up often, that is the Camarilla. The Camarilla is like the main governing body of vampire society. At least they're trying to be. Now, one of the big things the Camarilla put in place and really enforces is what is known as the Masquerade. Something so important, it's literally in the fucking name of the thing. The Masquerade is a very simple concept. Do not let humans know we exist. Because, you know, vampires are strong. They're goofy powerful. Especially the elders and the lower generation vampires, they are very tough. They can deal with a lot of things. But you get hundreds of humans all shooting you. Eventually, your regeneration's not gonna help and you're gonna face your final death. So, it's easier. That and the fact of the Inquisition coming around. Because the big thing they're dealing with is the Second Inquisition, which is a really concentrated effort by some people who know vampires are a thing to kill them. Which also, fun fact, this is a random larger World of Darkness thing. The Second Inquisition in Vampire is always talked about like this really codified group and organization. It's not. The second generation is them putting this larger enemy face on what is essentially like hundreds of disparate factions, all achieving the same goal of fuck these vampires, let's burn them. So all the hunters you play in like Hunter the Reckoning, those are part of the, that's part of the Second Inquisition. But the Masquerade is super important for that reason, and they enforce it heavily. Say for example, you as a vampire start fucking around, you biting people in public, you're using your powers just willy-nilly, you're gonna get cracked down on quick. Vampire society is very quick to self-police itself because of how dangerous it is to just go around doing this. And an offending vampire breaches the Masquerade is gonna very, very soon learn what the sun looks like. Most likely strapped down to a chair as they watch the sunrise. But the Camarilla functions as a feudalistic society, which hails back to around its origin point, around like medieval Europe. So like feudal England and all that, that is the inspiration for the Camarilla. They all operate in this aspect. There's a core prince who rules every domain, and everyone else kind of answers to the prince, works for him, pays tribute, all that classic stuff. The prince is a very vied for position that has a lot of politicking because vampires are schemy little bastards. They're constantly talking around, dicking each other over, backstabbing to try and hopefully get this position of prince. If you're not elected to it, you become prince. And you are worthy of it. Or a lot of times you put a scheme in such strong power that the prince is dead by your hands or disgraced, completely in exile. And for these domains, it ranges in size. A pretty easy way to know is just any major city is most likely a Camarilla domain. There are a couple exceptions with the other factions. Places like Seattle, Detroit, New York, London, all of them have a prince, all of them are with the Camarilla. But you know what cities I didn't mention when I was naming those? Any in California, because that is controlled by the Anarchs. Now the Anarch Movement is an older thing, it's been around for a good few hundred years. The Anarchs reject the method of the Camarilla, and they reject this whole respecting your elders thing. This is a group of younger vampires who got really fed up with the fact that their elders were just doing whatever the fuck they wanted because they were more important, more powerful. Specifically during the Spanish Inquisition, they were just giving up their neophytes, like their younger vampires, just to save their own hides, to get some monetary benefit, to do something, just giving them to the Inquisition. They thought this was cringe. Because it's fucking so lame to do. The Anarchs then rebelled against Camarilla and kind of do their own thing. They're not super organized, at least they don't want to tell you that. They'll say they're not organized, but they have some elements that are still like the Camarilla. In fact, their version of a prince is called a baron, who might not be as controlling as a prince, but still there. And as well, it's actually not a one-person role. There are actually gonna be multiple barons of the same area. It just depends how much they get along, because, they can be like buddies, both controlling half the city, or they could be fierce rivals and do a lot of dicking each other over, because again, they're still vampires. And then the third faction, coming out of the same Anarch revolt that happened, these are the terrorists, the Sabbat. The Sabbat are a lot more aggressive with their beliefs and their systems, in the fact that they believe that humanity deserves to be controlled and subjugated and worked as cattle. And you know the whole thing I've been mentioning with Cain and the Antediluvians? The Camarilla deny their existence. They firmly do not want you talking about it. They don't want you dealing with all that old history shit. A key reason is a little thing known as Gehenna, which Gehenna is vampire apocalypse. It is the larger apocalypse myth that has a lot of prophecies surrounding when Gehenna is going to happen. A lot of those prophecies are coming true in modern day World of Darkness. So it's kind of better to keep it under wraps, because the Camarilla noticed vampires get really anxious and nervous and twitchy around the idea of Gehenna coming up, mainly because it's, Cain could come back and he's gonna be hungry. He's gonna want to eat some of his kids. You can see this in the Sabbat. The Sabbat believe themselves to be the sword of Cain himself. When Cain returns, when Gehenna, they're going to be his military might. So far that the Sabbat also are pretty prone to joining or starting doomsday cults to make Gehenna happen. However, I will still say, they do respect the Masquerade. Same with the Anarchs, everyone respects it. Because, you might have this larger goal of killing everyone with Cain, but that doesn't stop the fact that if humans know you exist, you're dead. And then lastly, the fun bit, let's talk about the clans. Now, the clans are basically your class when it comes to playing vampire, as each clan is your lineage, your bloodline. Each clan has its own benefits and downsides. You get access to some cool powers based on who they are. You also get specifically a compulsion and a bane. A compulsion is something that your beast nags at you the whole time. It's some innate feeling that you just kind of have to play along with, or when you're at your worst, going into a frenzy, hunger-induced, or extreme fight or flight, it kicks off. And then as well, your bane, which is that funny little curse I was mentioning, because vampirism is not without its problems. It might seem like a net upgrade, but God, there's some banes that are rough to deal with. But I am just gonna go through them alphabetical order. I do plan later to make actual videos in each like clan. There's a lot more to get into. There's also extra shit, because I can go into bloodlines, which has to do with people who broke away from clans, or mixing the blood of some clans. And then there's anti-tribu clans, which are like anti-clans. I'm saying that word a lot, but that's also a really big simplification, but fuck, okay. I'm just gonna get into the main 13 that are accessible, mainly sourced from the 20th anniversary release of VtM. First up, one of my favorite clans, genuinely, is Clan Banu Haqim. They are very cool. They are like assassin mercenaries who are very isolationist. They do their own thing. They're not super allied with anybody, but they'll do some work if you need it. And they're, yeah, essentially like assassins with some fun little blood sorcery that they can perform. And also they have this very innate feeling of wanting justice. They enforce the law. They're like police officers or mercenaries, that kind of deal. Mainly because it's dealing with their compulsion, which their compulsion is to punish wrongdoers. If they see somebody really just acting a fool, they want to drink them. And this is made worse with the fact that their bane is a blood addiction. When they drink in somebody, it's really hard to stop. Now, an important detail with this, another larger lore point, is the fact that in VtM, if you drink a vampire dry, that is known as diablerie. It is a big crime according to the Camarilla, because it's essentially vampire cannibalism as you're drinking a vampire's soul, which in fact actually lowers your generation. Your blood is going to get stronger by doing this. And a big issue with the Banu Haqim, importantly, is the fact that what are the worst wrongdoers in life than the fucking vampires, who are all monsters in some aspect. They're all not good people. So, it leads to some issues. Then Clan Brujah, who are rebels without a cause, or at least a new one every week, as these are all like violent rebels, political activists, very tough crowds. These are the ones who will beat your face in with like a lead pipe, and it's way stronger because it's coming from a vampire. And they're real rebellious. They don't like anyone talking over them. They don't like anyone controlling them. They fucking hate it. Because that's basing into their compulsion is the fact that they need to rebel. They need to go against the status quo. Now that doesn't mean that they're always fighting for a good cause, because a lot of times this is like, yeah, they might attend like, you know, climate change rallies, actual positive things in the world, or they could just be a neo-Nazi because that's breaking the status quo. They don't fully care about the cause. They just need a cause to fight for. And yeah, and their bane is they just go batshit. They're really aggressive. They're very prone to just beat your fucking face in. And Clan Gangrel, the outsider clan. Now, vampires like to live in cities because there's some spooky fucking things in the woods, like werewolves. Don't tangle with werewolves. But Clan Gangrel likes to kind of stick more to the outskirts, or at least more nature-y aspects. They have a lot in common with animals. In fact, they actually have some benefits to drink animals. They do a lot more hunting. They take on these kind of more animalistic traits. Their powers in specific, they can even assume like animal shapes to fight things better. Even more fun, there's actually a specific bloodline where vampires don't need to breathe at all. They don't need to use their lungs. They don't need air. So there's a lot of Gangrel that live in the sea who are aquatic and take on aquatic features and live underwater. So a lot of like monster attacks, sea creatures, all that stuff, those are misattributed Gangrel attacks. This animalistic nature comes out in their compulsion, where if they're in a moment of crisis, they'll revert more to acting animalistic, kind of going full caveman with like one-word sentences and grunts. And even worse, if they go full frenzy, they're going to take on some animal property, be it a physical thing, like they'll get a dog nose, maybe some sharper ears, a little furrier, or they'll get like a tick, like some sort of animalistic behavior, or they'll just smell like a wet dog the whole day. At least it only lasts a day for them, so it's like a hangover, you know? Then we got Clan Hecata, which is like, it's kind of an amalgam. So there were a lot of clans that specifically dealt with the main concept of necromancy, or just corpses in general, where they took in some clans like Giovanni and Cappadocian, where they all became like one larger group. Now, there's a lot of differing, I guess, effects from this, because it's not going to erase all the previous like traits from them. Because like, for example, some of the other clans that took in the Tzimisce, they actually had the full appearance of corpses, like they were legitimately rotting as they were alive, unalive vampires. And the Nagaraja, who didn't drink blood, but they just ate your flesh and that did the same thing. So it's a big amalgamation of all that. And as well, for their compulsion, they have a fucking goofy one. They're morbidly curious in the idea that they have to just investigate death. So they need to know how you're going to die, if you're ill of something, if there's a specific weakness you hold, they need to know. They're creepy and weird. And then their bane, when it comes to it too, they have a really painful kiss. Now the kiss is what is known as, when you're biting somebody's neck and drinking their blood. Normally, it's pretty painless. In fact, it feels fucking great. So, it's easy to do. And then you can lick the wound and it's gone. For Clan Hecata, it's very painful. So good luck stealth biting somebody. Then this is Clan Lasombra, the self-appointed dark nobility. They're all creepy shadow vampires with spooky dark magics, and they're all kind of dickheads, not gonna lie. Their compulsion is the fact that they're all ruthless. They just suck. They don't like humanity. They think humanity is beneath them. There's a thing in VtM called ghouls, which is where you feed your blood to a human. It kind of enforces the blood bond, which blood bond is the idea of making someone your thrall. You have somebody drink your blood. They're psychically connected to you in the fact that they're subservient, in the fact that it makes it hard for them to even tell you no. To a human, blood is the most ridiculous high. It is insanely addictive, heals a lot of your issues, makes you physically stronger. It's a great thing to have. They really don't like ghouls, but they kind of need them because there's a specific issue they have with their bane. These guys don't have reflections, or at least their reflection's really fucked up because part of their soul is in the Umbra. So it's kind of gross and weird. It's kind of staticky. If you take a picture of Lasombra, it's all blurry and pixelated and weird. Same with cameras, or just mirrors, they can't make out their appearance. So they need people to look at their appearance and tell them if they look good or not. They don't like this. Or even worse, if they're trying to stealth through a building with automated defenses and security, they have a chance to just trigger it because their frequency is wrong. And yeah, they also, a lot of them are with the Sabbat because of their opinions on humanity, kind of aligned. And Clan Malkavian, which is my actual favorite clan. I'm currently playing Malkavian. It's a great time. So Malkavians are insane. They are madmen. And also kind of pranksters. They fuck around a lot. So Malkavians are dangerous in the fact that they feel very unpredictable to a lot of people. However, they're all psychically linked with each other. They have the Malkavian Madness Network. So every single Malkavian is mentally linked in some way to a larger hive mind. In the fact that it's also theorized that their antediluvian, who created their clan, Malkav, is the hive mind. He died, but didn't really. Now he's living in every single Malkavian, to where they can hear the random thoughts of other vampires across the city, but it's also filtered through the mind of someone who has some form of mental disorder. This can range from a lot of things, but also the fact that they are that vibe of the fortune teller that no one believes. Or they can give out dark portents for the future that are completely true, but it's in some weird poetic script, so you can't really understand it. Or it's littered between falsehoods and just actual insanity. In their compulsion, when they're really hungry, they actually get a full trigger of these visions that are either true or completely made up. And then their bane is that they have some form of mental illness. Every person had a predilection for one, and then they get it amplified. Now there's an important fact here about Malkavians. In older editions, this wasn't handled super great because, older tabletop made in the 90s. There's a real easy tendency to make Malkavians a really gross example of mental illness and mental disorders. To sensationalize it, make it dramatized, infantilize it, a lot of gross stuff. So I would not recommend playing a Malkavian unless you know what you're doing as a role player and know how to be sensitive with that, because I don't know, man, you can just be really fucking lame about it. It's not here to trivialize mental disorders. They're currently doing it very well. 20th anniversary and the 5th edition VtM, Malkavians are handled great. So just don't fuck it up. Then we have Clan Ministry, formerly known as the followers of Set, as in Set, the Egyptian god, who they believe is their antediluvian. They kind of worship the Egyptian god Set. And they're really, really religiously into sinning. They believe sinning is their lot, as they can sin so others don't. A weird twisted way to do it, but they're involved in a lot of really fucked up shady businesses like drug pushing, pimping, pornography, a lot of gross industries they're involved in, and they like to pull people into it, which is their compulsion. They like to corrupt people. They like to tempt you to sin. Dealing with one of the followers of Set is like making a devil deal. You don't want to shake their hand on something. And as well, because of the shady nature, They really don't like the light, be it the sun, which actually kills them faster, or if you just like shine a flashlight in one of their eyes, they'll immediately recoil and like get stunned. Clan Nosferatu, which is a clan that is cursed with its disfigurement, as their antediluvian was a real fucking piece of shit, like an absolute psychopath, but hot, super hot. So Cain cursed him to make him look like his soul. And this isn't just like, oh, that guy's kind of gross to look at. It is, oh my god, that's a monster with complete horrific mutations that fuck you up. To some aspect where you can like kind of get by as like, that guy's a little disfigured, to the point of it hurts to exist and move. It varies. So a big problem with the Nosferatu is being seen is a masquerade violation. So they are very, very sneaky. Luckily, they're masters at this. They're all around unseen in the fact that they know fucking everything, which plays into their compulsion. They need to know secrets. They have an obsession with learning secrets and information that is being hidden from them. So they have a massive information network. Master hackers, like thieves, all of that. You hire a Nosferatu to get some information on like a rival, he's gonna get it. But there's also a chance that all your shit is being uncovered at the same time, so it's a bit of a mixed bag. Just don't cross the Nosferatu. It's a bad idea. Then we have Clan Ravnos, another clan I really like. They're actually very cool, with a gross history. So again, written in the 90s, little-ish. So these were originally written as very lame representations of Romani people. It kind of, it's a little weird. Okay, it's not that anymore. They're now a lot of nomadic, like daredevils. They specifically actually take people who will do that, like full-on daredevils, don't feel fear, all of that. Adrenaline junkies. Because they're just really extra. With their compulsion, they want to do things dangerous. You make a plan with a Ravnos, they want to take the direct and very flashy approach. Might get them, like, killed, again, might lead to some horrible danger, but they'll look fucking good doing it. And their bane plays into this in the idea that they cannot sleep in the same location for more than a day. They sleep somewhere, they have to at least travel like a mile or two away from that. Or if they sleep, there's a chance that they'll feel the sun from inside of their blood burn them alive, because they're antediluvian, who is a whole thing. I'm not gonna go super deep into the Week of Nightmares in 1999. There's a lot going on. Their antediluvian woke up in India, fucked up a lot of things, killed a lot of people. A lot of Quasian were murdered. It required a lot of other like powerful vampires to take them down. And also the mages with sunlight orbital laser beams. And then soul nukes were set off in the Umbra. It is a whole fucking thing. But 1999 is a very important year in the world of darkness. So yeah, don't sleep in the same spot, I guess, for more than a day. Clan Toreador, who are the hot vampires, which is the best way to describe them. They love things that are hot, and they themselves smoking. Their point, and honestly, is what's the point of this immortality if they can't enjoy themselves? So they give themselves into pleasure and sensations and a lot of that. They want to surround themselves with art and beautiful things, dress fine, they love art. Vampires, though, cannot really make anything. Once they get old enough, they kind of lose that connection to humanity. So a lot of them are more patron to the arts. They adopt some fucking artists to just make them shit, or a lot of Toreador are actually working in Hollywood as like movie producers. And it gets a little harder sometimes for them because they get really fixated on one thing. This is like their compulsion. They get obsessed with either just like a song they hear, a painting, a person, which is an issue. If they get really obsessed with a hot person, love bomb them and then leave, you know, they can be a little abusive like that. And then on the other side, their bane is they need these beautiful things to live. If they're in an ugly environment, they cannot deal. It hurts to exist for them. It's just hard to focus because this area is so gross and icky. I want to be in my nice penthouse. Then Clan Tremere, who weren't always vampires. They actually are one of the youngest clans because they straight up stole vampirism. They used to be mages, as in mages from the mage system, where they found a spell for immortality. The dude who found this out, Tremere, did the spell, fully drank a powerful vampire dry, and boom, then you have Clan Tremere. But the issue is a big thing when it comes to mages is they need their avatar to do magic, and becoming one of the children of the night kind of rips you from your avatar. So they don't got magic anymore. but they have blood sorcery. So the idea where, you know, if they really wanted to, they wave their hand, your blood is boiling. And their personality, they're still fucking wizards. So their compulsion is that of perfectionism. They need to do everything perfect, everything correctly. It has to be done to the best it can be done. They strive for nothing. Failure is not an option. And if they're Bane, specifically when I was getting into blood bonding, Clan Tremere has a very strict hierarchy, known as the pyramid. It's very important. This got fucked up because this was all held in the fact of the blood bond, which used to be really easy for them to do the blood bond. It's now impossible. So their hierarchy has to be held in line a little differently. Then we have Clan Tzimisce, which is fucking terrifying, man. Okay, so these are very much in the style of like the Eastern European terrifying vampires. Like for example, a member of their ranks, Dracula, the Dracula, Vlad the Impaler. That was Tzimisce. They're all really old. They're all like creepy gothic, live in castles, terrifying and eldritch because they're also flesh changers. They really want to, they can go, huh, you know, it'd be funny if your bones went that way and then rearrange your bones. And they're sadistic pieces of shit. They all have this face of kindness because they're like, hospitality is very important. Oh, let's be polite. And then they're torturing somebody the entire time and then laugh at you if you claim that they're monsters or sadistic and then offer to show you what true evil looks like because they think it's funny. Because you're thinking on a human perspective, not a vampire perspective. They're higher than that. And to lay into this old, like, Dark King kind of style, this whole royalty thing, which is much harder in the modern age where royalty's not really a thing anymore that you can really become. They want a horde thing. They see something nice and shiny, they want it. They want to keep it and possess it. And in their Bane, actually that old, like, vampire thing of their coffins filled with dirt, the dirt of their specific, like, burial site. That's them, because they need to be surrounded by something familiar to their past life. This doesn't need to be dirt, it can commonly be that. They could sleep, maybe like own a company. They're a big CEO and they sleep in their office as all of their employees work because they're with those people, that counts. And then lastly, Clan Ventrue, who are the aristocrats. The rich vampires largely work with Camarilla. They're like the biggest pick for the Camarilla, mainly because they're all like leaders and rich people, CEOs, bankers, fucking politicians. A lot of them are Ventrue. And they work with this because they truly believe only they know what is right for society. They know how to rule, they know how to lead, to the point where they're so arrogant with their compulsion that they literally cannot deal with taking orders. They have to be the one in charge. They have to be the one telling people what to do, delegating. They have to. It's important for them. Whole heart, they're arrogant assholes. And again, like, it's harder to be like this because in the modern world, there's not like aristocracy. There's no nobility, there's no royals. It's all money, which actually lays into the becoming a Ventrue is actually a really long application process. Like, you're being fully interviewed for the position and you don't even know it. You might think, oh, I'm getting this like nice high-powered job. It's kind of weird this guy only talks to me at night. It's a bit weird. Seems a little fun, a little pale, but whatever. And then boom, you're a Ventrue. And also, for their Bane, they need a specific style of blood. You know, they're too rich for all this standard peasant blood. They can't just drink whoever's walking down. They have to have a very specific flavor that is rare. Be it like the blood of alcoholics, the blood of only twins, someone with blonde hair, natural blonde hair. They need something uncommon. It takes a lot more work to get that vintage wine blood in this case. And yeah, that's a quick overview of Vampire the Masquerade. And I plan to go more in detail with all of these. I also plan to do more stuff when it comes to World of Darkness. I really like the World of Darkness. I think it's a really fun world. I want to cover more stuff because I've been learning a lot about it. And I guess, like, real quick, for anyone who's gotten this far in the video, if you're gonna ask this question, I'm not the guy who can really tell you what edition to play. The two current editions of Vampire the Masquerade are the 20th anniversary and 5th edition. I would recommend 5th edition if you're going more like smaller scale, living in a vampire society as a low-level person. 20th anniversary is a lot more chunk to it, a lot more rules to be higher up, so I don't know. I think the 20th anniversary is very, very cool though. 5e is solid. It's also the only one I've played, so, you know. Yeah, that's gonna wrap this up. If you like this, like, comment, subscribe, that stuff. Join my membership, and see ya.